Thank you. And good evening, everyone. Thanks for carving time out of your schedule to be here tonight. It's an important thing to do. It's a year that is challenging the democracy in many ways in terms of people's perception of the political process. So more than ever, it's important that people engage in politics, come to events like this, and hear what candidates have to say. It's what our democracy is built on at the end of the day. So I applaud you for taking time out of your schedule, particularly for being late in the evening here. So I've had the privilege of representing you since 2012 when I first was elected to be your member of Congress. So it's been a great privilege. And I've enjoyed it very much, and I believe you've made very significant accomplishments, and I want to talk to you about that. But before I do, I thought I would introduce myself more fully for those of you who I have not had the opportunity to meet in the past, because most of my life was spent outside of politics and government. In fact, I never worked in politics, I never worked in government, and my career really had nothing to do with the operation of federal or state government at any level. I spent my whole career in the private sector, and so I'm new to government and new to politics, and I think what I've done with my life is relevant for how I think about my job. So I'm from New Jersey originally. I was born in a couple of Jersey folks here. I was born in a small town called Woodridge, New Jersey, which is right next to Giant Stadium, so North Jersey. My dad was an electrician, union electrician. He was in the IBEW for about 60 years, his whole career. Neither of my parents went to college. I had the privilege of getting a good education. I went to Columbia University, paid for by my dad's union. So when people sometimes say to me in life, well, I've done this by myself, I've done this by myself, I always point out that none of us really do anything on our own completely. And I would have never had the opportunity I've had in life unless someone paid for me to go to college. After college, I came down to this area to go to law school. I went to Georgetown Law School, and that's when the best day of my life occurred, which was when I met my wife, April. She was from, or is from Idaho. She wanted to move to San Francisco when she graduated, which shows how smart she is. And I wanted to move back to northern New Jersey, and we decided to stay here in the Washington area to make our life together. We have 4 daughters, 4 beautiful girls. My oldest is 23. She lives in New York City. She's a year out of college. I spent a lot of time this past weekend talking to her because she lives 1 block from where that Chelsea mom was. My second daughter is a junior in college. Then I have a junior in high school. And then we have our littlest, Grace, who's our little blessing, our tag along, and she's in 4th grade. April spent a lot of her career as a communications attorney, but then moved into the nonprofit sector. And she helped found an organization called Common Sense Media, which works with media literacy for children. There's been a lot of data to suggest that none of our kids are this way, but kids in America spend more time with media than they do with their parents or their teachers combined. According to Common Sense, which is now in over 100,000 schools, is to effectively create a curriculum for kids and really for parents don't deal with media. So she's really dedicated to that issue. She's really good at that. After practicing law for a year, I started my first business with 2 law school classmates. It was a company that focused on financing healthcare companies. So I'm an entrepreneur by background. My first company was started in 1993. It became a publicly traded company in 1996. At the time, I was the youngest CEO of a New York Stock Exchange company in history. And we sold that company in 1999 to a company called GE Capital. After about a year of doing kind of philanthropic work, I still had the itch to start another business. So I started another company called Capital Source. Both of these businesses were based in Maryland, in Chevy Chase, Maryland. Capital Source was a lender to small and mid-sized businesses all over the country. Started that company in 2000, took it public in 2003, and ran it as a public company until I decided to run for office. I'm the only former CEO of a public company serving in Congress. But I really spent most of my career as an entrepreneur and business builder. My 2 companies combined here in Maryland created about 2,000 jobs, and we financed over 5,000 small and mid-sized businesses all around the United States. It was a fabulous experience dealing with all these entrepreneurs and small business people. I encourage young people. I see so many young people in the room here. Going into politics is terrific. You should think about it, but going into business and starting a business, there's no point thrill like that. It's really what drives the economy of the United States, and I felt so fortunate to be so close to it. And that's really what animated April and my decision to go into public service, because we had increasingly been engaged in charitable and philanthropic activities. We were in 2007 named the philanthropic couple of the year in the Washington metro area. We actually shared it with the Lerner family. And we were involved in a lot of important charitable and philanthropic endeavors in the region. And it really was giving us great sense of reward and accomplishment. And we kind of made a mutual decision that to take this work, this public service work to the next level, we should engage in true public service. And that's why I decided to run for office. I use we a lot because we make all these decisions together. So I ran for the first time in 2012 and was elected, and as I said, I've had the privilege of serving. And as your member of Congress, I want to tell you the way I think about things, and then I'll talk about the things that I've done. So one of the reasons I ran for office is because I believe we can have a much more successful, bipartisan, constructive debate in this country. Right? As someone who spent my whole career in business, dealt with people, built businesses, financed businesses, politics didn't matter. Right? You judge people by their intelligence, by their integrity, by the kind of qualifications that you all think about when you think about your family and your friends. The last thing you talk about is politics. In fact, it's almost impolite to talk about politics. And so my view of governing is I'm a Democrat, and the values of my party I agree with. I tend to be progressive in a lot of my orientation, but I believe strongly that there's good ideas on both sides of the aisle. I think the progressive movement in the United States has good ideas. I think the conservative movement in the United States has good ideas. And as a policymaker, my job is to find the best ideas wherever they may lie and work on bipartisan solutions. So I believe that's what the country wants, and at a minimum, it's what the citizens deserve. This is too great a country, and too many sacrifices have been made. And I know there's a lot of servicemen and women in this audience, and I thank them for that sacrifice. And they know as well, better than anyone, the sacrifices that people have made in this country. This is too great a country to let it deteriorate with partisan bickering. So that's one of the things I believe with what we all say. The second thing is someone to build businesses and really engaged in the private economy of the United States in a real way. I do have a view as to what we need to be doing in this country. I mean, if you think about what's going on in the world, the macro forces of globalization, technological innovation are fundamentally changing everything in this country. And importantly, and increasingly, they're changing the nature of work in this country. And that's where I really brought unique expertise, because I think if you play this out, if you play out how the economy is going to unfold across the next 10, 20, 50 years, pretty obvious what the trends are, and positioning the United States so that it can be as competitive as possible. So its businesses, like the kind of businesses I started and the kind of businesses I finance, can compete as successfully as possible, should be our priority as policymakers. Because if U.S. businesses compete well, then by definition, they'll create jobs that have rising standards of living. And that's what we should be doing. And the third thing I try to do is work on constituent services. As someone who's really a CEO and a manager, that's the part of this job where you can really be a manager, where you can spend time with your constituents, build a really good office, and provide really, really good constituent service. Let me talk about a couple examples of things that I've done. So as a bipartisan leader, I'm ranked, there's a group called GovTrack, which ranks the performance of members of Congress. It's completely independent, completely bipartisan, it's nothing to involve. I was ranked as the third most bipartisan member in the Congress for crafting and drafting original pieces of legislation. I was ranked in the top 10% of the whole of Congress for being co-sponsors of that. And that's the kind of stuff that I believe my constituents want me to do. They want me to work with the other side. I put together 8 bipartisan proposals around infrastructure. I've got the most bipartisan piece of economic legislation in the Congress of any scale, which basically creates an enormous amount of additional money for infrastructure be invested in this country, which I think should be our top domestic economic priority. It creates jobs, it makes us more competitive, it improves the lives of our constituents. And I pay for it by fixing the international tax system. It's a complicated bill, I don't want to go through it. But we've got 50 Democrats, 50 Republicans in the House co-sponsor this thing. And again, this is tax reform and infrastructure spending policy. There's no agreement generally in the Congress on taxes and spending. But we've got a huge bill that has 50 Democrats, 50 Republicans. It's bipartisan in the Senate also. I've done it in areas like social impact bonds, which are ways of innovating government to allow more private capital to flow into government, right? And create public-private partnerships. I've done it on areas related to the long-term fiscal trajectory of this country. I was given the Fiscal Hero Award by the Commission to Fix the Debt because of my work with Tom Cole, a great Republican from Oklahoma, on putting together a commission to fix the issues we have with Social Security and make it sustainable across the long term. So these are the kind of things I've done to create the kind of bipartisan cooperation that I believe my constituents deserve, right? I believe we're sent to Washington to find solutions, come up with original ideas, and work with the other side to make it happen. So that's one area. In constituent services, we've spent a lot of time, obviously, handling the needs of our constituents, but we go beyond that. In the last year, I've done about 25 large-scale workshops. These are typically over 100 people attend these things, sometimes upwards of 500, where I bring experts from the government and the private sector together to talk about issues that are relevant to my constituents. And we do it all across the district, from Montgomery County all the way out to Garrett County, which is kind of the answer to this. We do these on veterans issues. We do these on issues affecting our seniors. It's one of the reasons I was given an award by the AARP, kind of their 50-plus hero award for the work I've done for seniors and for the work I've done on Social Security. We've done them on identity theft, which is a real issue for my constituents, particularly in light of what happened with the federal workforce. I have the privilege of representing one of the largest populations of federal workers, both current and retired. So we've done a bunch of workshops on identity theft. We've done on agriculture. I had the Secretary of Agriculture come out with a bunch of other agricultural leaders. So we've really tried to connect ourselves to the constituents. I do office hours across the whole district. In the last year alone, I've done 25 office hours. And this doesn't count the formal offices that I have in my district. This means me going out to the community in small settings, libraries, places like this, and seeing all comers for long, sometimes 60, 70 people come. I sit listening to constituents. Transportation is a huge issue for this district. It's almost a singular issue facing Maryland's 6th Congressional District. There's two major highways that are a problem. 270, which I don't need to tell you about, and I-81 in Washington County. This morning, we unveiled a new kind of coalition called Fix 270 Now, which I'm the chairman of, which is bringing together business leaders. We had a big event right on 270, bringing together business leaders, Maryland elected officials, federal officials, to finally get momentum behind doing the improvements we need to do in 270, which include widening it, which include putting dynamic lanes so that the traffic changes based on the hour of the day, and which includes building the bus rapid transit system that will kind of circle this area. That's an issue that's really been important to my constituents. But I've also spent a lot of time, in addition to the issues that I care about, kind of from an economic policy perspective, infrastructure, tax reform, making businesses more competitive, fixing the broken GSE system that Fannie and Freddie Mae we have, Social Security reform, right? In addition to those things, I've spent a lot of time with my constituents focusing on issues that are important to them. I have the great privilege of representing so many veterans, right? Maryland and Virginia, when you represent Maryland and Virginia in the Congress of the United States, you have the privilege of representing veterans. I often say to people from my prior life often come to me and they say, well, tell me about being in Congress. When you're in business your whole career, what's it like? I always say there's two things about it that are terrific. One, you spend a lot of time with young people. Right, I have 4 kids and I have their friends, so I always spend a lot of time with my kids and friends. But now, you're going out and meeting with groups of young people. And if you ever need to be reminded about why you should be an optimist about the United States of America, spend some time with young people. Right? Their heads in the game, they're thinking about the future, they're reasonable, they care about their community. And the second group of people I spend a lot of time with are veterans. Right? I spend a lot of time with veterans. That's one of the privileges of serving in Congress. So as a result, we've done a lot of things to help our veterans. One of the areas that I've been a leader is creating more funding for something called the Fisher House, or advocating for more funding for something called the Fisher House, which is a wonderful organization that is building housing for the families of injured servicemen and women so that they can stay near their injured family member who's a serviceman or woman while they're getting treatment. It used to be that people were getting treatment in specialized hospitals and the family members often couldn't afford to come see them, or if they came, they would literally camp out in tents on the hospital property, right? So Fisher House came along and created a way to create housing for these family members, right? And so I've worked hard to increase funding for Fisher House. I've recently rolled out a bunch of legislation to work on kind of protections for our veterans against kind of financial predators, right? We're preying on our veterans, whether it be with rent-to-own products or other things that aren't in their best interest. So I really focused on our veterans. And the other thing I've spent a lot of time on, which is obviously a huge concern for anyone in the Washington metropolitan area, and obviously for the 6th Congressional District, is our national security and our homeland security. All of us are anxious about what's going on in the world. I've been a strong advocate for a more aggressive posture in a variety of places in the world. Syria is probably the area I've been most aggressive and most critical of what our administration's response to that situation has been. When you think about what's going on in Syria, about 11 million people have been displaced from their homes in Syria. That's the equivalent of 160 million Americans being displaced from their homes. I mean, the statistics about what's going on in Syria are utterly tragic. 4 out of 5 Syrians don't have access to clean water. 2 million children are not in school. We're watching a civilization and security before our eyes. I've pushed for a more aggressive posture as it relates to Syria. I've pushed for a more aggressive posture as it relates to North Korea, because these are issues that are relevant to my district. So my message to you here tonight is I've worked very hard to represent my constituents. I've listened to what you had to say. I've been paying attention to the issues you care about. You've taken care of your needs on specific issues. And I've brought the spirit of cooperation that I learned in business, right? You seek best ideas, you find common ground, and you make things happen to work on some of the big bipartisan initiatives in the Congress. I'll close with 2 things. One, I want to talk about my support for Israel, because that's obviously relevant to the setting we're in here today. I've been to Israel twice. The first time I traveled to Israel was in 2011, when I was first running for office. And then we went as a family. My wife, we took all of our girls, not this past summer, but the summer before. My oldest daughter, who graduated from Northwestern that year, we said for graduation we could go on a trip where she wanted to go, and she said she wanted to go to Israel. So we had a terrific family vacation, traveled around the country, obviously to Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, but also we're Catholic, we're very active in our church, we spend a lot of time up north by the Sea of Galilee. So I do have a perspective on the country that is not based on how I think about it, but also based on being there. And it's an amazing place, as many of you know who've been there. It's a tiny little jewel in many ways. I was struck by how small the country is. On both trips, we did helicopter trips around the country to get a sense for really what the issues are. The energy, the entrepreneurial spirit, the strength of the family unit in that country is really remarkable, but the threats are very significant too. As a member of Congress, I've advocated for strong support for Israel from a military perspective. I was advocating for a new MOU long before this recent thing got finalized. I've stood up and signed letters and sent letters against the insidious boycott and divestment movement that's going on around in the international community in many ways, which is not only unfair to Israel, but potentially gives rise to anti-Semitism, which is an issue in the world today.
Mike lost the line.
Combating anti-Semitism is an issue in the world. I mean, you experienced that here in this location. So it was a year and a half ago we had that horrible meeting. So this is an area where I've tried to be a strong champion, push for funding of the missile defense system, push for funding of the security agreements. I think the MOU that was entered into was a good step.
Part of it that was concerning to me was the aspect that reduced the direct funding to the defense industry, which I think is not only economically productive for Israel, but it's good for the United States. So I tried to be a strong champion in every respect for the nation of Israel. So I'll conclude by talking a little bit about what's going on in the world of politics today, because I think it's hard to have one of these forums and not talk about what's going on in the world. And it relates to the U.S. politics. It has been a very distressing year in politics for most Americans. I see a lot of heads on it. And it's unfortunate, and I think it's really eroded the confidence in our government. And I think that's a really unfortunate outcome. Can you not hear me?
Louder.
Okay. What I think has happened, I think both parties are guilty. I think, I'll start by talking about my party, the Democratic Party. I think we've given a message to our voters over the last 5 years that has basically said at its core that everyone in government is a sellout. That's been our message. Isn't true. I'm not a sellout. Chris Van Hollen represents Montgomery County, he's not a sellout. Marvin Mikulski's not a sellout. Ben Cardin's not a sellout. But that has been our message of the Democratic Party. Everyone's sold out. They sold out to Wall Street. They sold out to big corporations. They're even accused President Obama. You can have whatever criticisms you want of President Obama, but you can't say that he's ever sold out to corporate America. But he's listening to the message. And the Republican Party has had an equally destructive message. And their message has been that everyone's an idiot. Washington's full of fools, and government is completely broken. So these messages, which these parties have pushed forth to the American people over the last 5 years, have been very destructive, right? Because we're not going to have a successful democracy if people have no faith in their elected officials, if they think they've all sold out, if they think they're all idiots, and if they think their government can't do anything for them. Because it's just not true. Right? Is government imperfect? Of course it is. Most large-scale organizations are imperfect. Those of you who've been part of them know that. Did our founding fathers design a system of government where they wanted broad consensus before things would get done? Yeah, they did. Because they were revolting from a strong central government, and they didn't want a powerful central government. So they set up a system where there was a lot of debate and dissent. But if you look back over our history, we've had that. Right? Can we do things better? Are we ignoring some big issues? Are we ignoring the fiscal trajectory of this country? Yes. Right? Has the sequester been a terrible way to govern the country? Of course it has been.